Emma had just moved into her new home, a charming 2-story house with an unfinished basement. It was her first time living alone, and she was excited to make the space her own. But almost immediately, she noticed something strange. The basement door wouldn't stay shut. She would close and lock it, only to find it cracked open later. Initially, she brushed it off, thinking maybe the house was settling or there was a draft. One night, as she was reading in bed, she heard a faint scraping sound. She held her breath, listening as it grew louder, then stopped. Her heart raced as she tiptoed down the stairs to find the basement door slightly ajar, despite having locked it earlier. She cautiously shut and locked it again, only to hear it creak open as she turned away. Her mind raced, trying to rationalize it, but deep down, she felt something was terribly wrong. Days passed, and each night the door continued to open by itself. Emma's nerves were frayed, and she began hearing strange noises, whispers, and faint footsteps. She decided to call a locksmith, hoping he could fix the issue. The locksmith checked the door thoroughly, but found nothing wrong. Confused, he suggested maybe it was something in the basement, causing air pressure changes. That night, as she lay in bed, the whispers returned. Only this time, they sounded closer, as if they were right at her bedroom door. She froze, listening to the faint, unintelligible murmurs. They grew louder, turning into frantic, desperate pleas. "Let us out, please." Emma grabbed her phone, terrified, ready to call for help. But then she heard another sound, the soft creak of the basement door opening once again. The next morning, sleep-deprived and terrified, she decided to go down into the basement to confront whatever was causing this. She descended the stairs, feeling the cold, damp air as she reached the bottom. The basement was dark and filled with the smell of mildew. She shone her flashlight around, revealing only stacks of boxes and cobweb-covered corners. But then she saw it. Scratched into the cement wall, barely visible, were words. "We were here. They trapped us." She backed up, heart pounding, only to hear the door creak shut behind her. The whispers grew louder, surrounding her, and her flashlight flickered, casting strange shadows in the dark. She clawed at the door, screaming, but no one came. Emma was never seen again, and the house remains vacant to this day, with the basement door always found slightly open. Daniel loved collecting antiques. At a local flea market, he came across an old, ornate mirror with an intricate frame carved from dark wood. The vendor warned him that it had a strange history, but Daniel, dismissing the tales as superstition, bought it immediately, excited to hang it in his home. The first night after hanging the mirror, he woke up feeling watched. His room was empty, but something about the mirror felt off. He shrugged it off as just the oddity of owning an antique. But over the next few nights, his unease grew. He started noticing things out of the corner of his eye. Movement, shadows. Whenever he passed by the mirror, he would catch fleeting glimpses of someone else in the reflection, someone standing behind him. One evening, he decided to confront his fears and study the mirror closely. Turning off the lights, he sat in front of it with only a candle to illuminate the room. As he stared, his reflection seemed to darken, and the room in the mirror looked different, twisted and old. Suddenly, he saw something behind him, a figure standing in the shadows, its features distorted and blurred. Heart racing, he whipped around, but no one was there. Determined to get rid of the mirror, he placed it in his closet, shutting the door. But that night, he heard scratching noises coming from the closet, as if someone was clawing at the door from the inside. The next morning, he found his closet door wide open, the mirror lying face up on the floor. Desperate, he reached out to the vendor, who revealed that the mirror once belonged to a woman who believed it was cursed, claiming it was a gateway for restless souls trapped on the other side. She was found dead in front of it, her reflection appearing twisted and unrecognizable. In terror, Daniel decided to destroy the mirror. He took it out to his backyard and shattered it with a hammer. But as he looked down at the shards, he saw countless faces within each fragment, watching him, each one twisted in agony. That night, he found shattered pieces of the mirror scattered throughout his house, in every room. No matter how many times he tried to sweep them away, the pieces always returned, and every reflection he saw from that point on bore a faint, twisted smile that wasn't his own. Daniel eventually moved, leaving everything behind. But to this day, he swears he catches glimpses of those faces in every reflection, watching, waiting for him to come back.